Hey, it's Ramsey Dewey at the Pudong International Airport with my brother Joseph.
Hi.
And welcome to the first ever edition of Q&A with the coach's brother. Today we have a question from Carl Anderson. And you may be thinking, hey, this guy always answers Carl Anderson's questions. What's up with that? Why doesn't he answer my questions? Well, today it's not me, it's my brother Joseph who's going to answer Carl Anderson's questions. So we're moving ahead in line. Just one moment. The question that our friend Carl asks is, one thing I would love to ask Ramsey. Sorry, you're asking my brother Joseph. For those of us who are absolute busybodies, what kind of exercise could one do while out and about? Myself, I loathe gyms and prefer to be somewhere else when I'm done. All right, Joseph, what would you say to our friend Carl?
Well, what I would say is that you really should ask Ramsey, because I'm not. Ramsey's the physically fit guy in the family. So, but something that you can do while you're out and about is nose flares, and this is something that I've done throughout my life. You just open up your nose like this.
That's a highly underdeveloped muscle group in most people, as far as I'm aware.
And so the nice thing about nose flares is you can do them in the morning. You can do them. You can even combine them with the gym. So as you're working, Ramsey probably wouldn't recommend it, but I would. Is nose flares throughout the day, in the morning, in the and then if you're really a busybody, you probably have your phone in your hand, and this is an exercise that you can do with your phone in your hand. It's an exercise you can do on the airplane, in tight confined spaces. You can do it on the subway. Basically, it's the perfect exercise for busybodies. So yeah, that's my answer. And for a better answer, you'd probably have to ask Ramsey, but I don't think we have time for that because we have to go on to the next question, right?
That's right. Thanks for the question.
And sorry to interrupt, but I developed this ability when I was young, and actually I haven't flared my nose for quite a while. And then the great thing about the nose flare ability is that if you develop this, then it's just like riding a bicycle. You never forget it, and you can keep.
I'm trying to do it right now.
Yeah, so
I can't flare it nearly as much as you. Obviously, my brother is the expert in the nose flare department.
Yeah, so like Ramsey always says, get out there and train your nose flares so that you can nose flare like me.
Like a pro.
Okay, what's the next question, Coach?
Next question comes from Jack Lescovar, who says, this is probably a dumb question, and Jack, there are no dumb questions from my brother Joseph. Jack says he's practiced Krav Maga for the past 8 years, and he's really fortunate that his style of Krav focuses on ground fighting techniques. However, his school is kind of falling apart, and the assistant instructors, who are basically just advanced students, are the ones teaching the classes most of the time because the coach isn't really showing up that often. He says, I have a great opportunity to train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I'm skeptical that the ground is where I should go immediately. Should I stay with my crappy Krav Maga, or is white belt BJJ better than no BJJ at all? You're probably going to tell me BJJ, right? Well, what do you think, Joseph?
Okay, well, what I would tell you is, like Ramsey said, there are no dumb questions, and this is an awesome question, and I'm sure that lots of other people have this question too. I'm actually not the martial artist in the family, so take what I have to say with a grain of salt. Basically, this reminds me of when I was in college, and I was an assistant instructor, and the teachers were like really confusing. And so a lot of times the students would come to me and say, hey, what the heck is the teacher saying? And then I would explain it, and the students would be, oh, whoa, you're awesome. So I didn't really understand the material like the teacher did, but I was able to. I was able to explain a lot of stuff that the teacher couldn't explain, and so I think that's actually really similar to you, but there's some differences. One is that you have 8 years of experience, so you're actually probably better than probably everyone at the school, maybe even better than the teachers, and so And so what I would recommend is to stay at that school, but to stay at that school, but to keep pushing. And there's some stuff that you can learn from the student teachers, but like I said, you probably know more than they do at this time. And your idea about what was the idea? BJJ, starting BJJ. So I'd start that on your own time, but you've invested a lot of time into this, and so I'd hate to see you just throw it away. Oh, and then the school is falling apart, and Ramsey was actually telling me about Lumpini Stadium in Thailand, which was falling apart, and then they rebuilt it, and so that kind of gave me the idea that maybe you can rebuild your Krav Maga school. So that's my advice. But for a better answer, you probably need to ask Ramsey. So anyway, thanks.
Our next question comes from Gregor Urech, I think. He says, "Hello, Ramsey, here's my question. In a fight between the famous samurai Miyamoto Musashi and a European feudal knight, let's say Marshal Bosiko, who do you think will win? I know that you train mainly with empty hand techniques, but I would like to hear your opinion on this one. Thanks."
Okay, and this is a great question because I've actually been telling Ramsey that he should feature more swords in his swords and talking about swords in his martial arts video, but so far he hasn't, and so this is actually a really great question. My gut feel is that the Japanese guy would win because his name kind of reminds me of Miyazaki, the guy that made all those great Spirited Away movies, and I think that he like with the depth of how he's got just so much stuff in his movies. I think that he knows a lot about swords, and so probably like have you ever met like somebody like his name's Fred, and then you meet another Fred, and they share some similarities? Well, let me answer that for you. The answer is probably yes, and so that's probably the way with Miyazaki and who's the Japanese swordsman?
Miyamoto Musashi.
Yeah, Miyamoto. So my gut instinct is that guy's going to win, but then I remember that the thing that Ramsey always says is that physical size pretty much always trumps ability. Or wait, is that what you say? I don't know. I don't think we actually have time to ask Ramsey what he always says, but that's when I remember it. Then basically if you're big, then you can squash someone that's small. And generally these Europeans are a little bit bigger than Japanese people, so it's really tough because maybe just by force by sheer muscles then but there are some really big giant Japanese people too, so I guess well I probably should have looked it up on Wikipedia how big each of these are and what how big each of these folks are. So anyway, I'm going to go with the Japanese guy, even though it's probably pretty close, and he may lose an arm or two before it's all over. But for a better, more in-depth answer to this, you'd have to ask Ramsey. So that's my answer.
Our next question comes from Bob Lee. Our friend Bob says, "The best MMA gym near me is a 40-minute drive from my house. I have a full-time job, and the coach told me that amateur fights would take 4 to 5 days a week of training to get ready for. Is it worth it?"
Okay, and I'm going to say a resounding yes. And this actually reminds me of when I was a kid, like really young kid. I really like snails, like the little teeny tiny snails that were in the river by my house, or it was probably a canal. So one day I got a couple of these snails and I put them in a jar, and then I just really loved these snails because they were just really cool, and then they started reproducing, and for about like 8 months probably my main hobby was breeding snails, and so I had all these jars of snails, and they're pretty easy to they're pretty easy to reproduce. So it was cool, but it was my main hobby for quite a while. So. I dedicated a lot of effort to that, and I never regretted it. So anyway, based on that, since you're obviously excited about this, then I would say definitely it's worth it. You probably want to find some other things, and you might not. You can probably train at home for a couple of those days too. I'm not sure what you train at home. You'd have to watch Ramsey's other videos for that. But anyway, that's my thing. Is it's definitely worth it. For a better answer, you'd probably want to ask Ramsey for that. But for me, absolutely, you should do it. Thanks.
Our next question comes from our friend Abhishek Rana, who says, "Dude, I was so obese. I lost about 50 pounds, and then I gained a decent amount of muscle. But I gained a lot of fat around my midsection, and I hate it. I know it's not a fitness channel, but I know you actually read the comments, so how do I get lean without losing muscle? I can't say I tried my best, but still, any suggestions? Love your videos, by the way. Thank you." Let's see what my brother has to say.
Okay, so for this one, first of all, congratulations. Losing any weight is very, very hard. So losing 50 pounds is really, really cool, because most people just can't do that. So that is that's super awesome that you did that. And sorry, can you read the question again, because I want to make sure I answer every point.
Absolutely. There were lots of details in here. So he gained a decent amount of muscle after losing 50 pounds. He gained a lot of fat around the midsection, and he hates it. He knows it's not a fitness channel, but that we read the comments. So how do I get lean without losing muscle?
Okay, and actually this is kind of a sore point for me, because I used to be taller than Ramsey, and the only reason I look taller is that I'm actually holding the phone so that I look tall, because I've got like some hang-ups with that, because Ramsey's like 6 years younger than me, or 7 years or something like that, and so for most of my life as a teenager I was way taller than Ramsey, and then all of a sudden one day Ramsey was taller than me. And then I asked him how he did it, and he said, well, it's actually all with your abdominal muscles. I can, and then Ramsey said I can add like an inch to my height. I think he said 1.5 inches to my height just by flexing my abdominal muscles. And this reminds me of something else that Ramsey said. You have to get like the real story from him, but my memory of it is that he said that basically. There's no such thing as belly fat. It's all about how you use your abdominal muscles, and so like you see it a lot on before and after pictures, where the before picture this guy has a big belly, and then he takes the supplement, and he didn't actually do anything, but then he then he flexes his abdominal muscles. So like I said, you'll have to get a training regimen from Ramsey, but I think that that working out your abdominal muscles can and not so much like working them out, but making sure that you're flexing them at the right times can make it look like you don't actually have a gut. So anyway, that's my advice, and yeah, I totally listen to Ramsey on this, because he the side benefit is that you'll gain like 1 inch or 2 in height too, just by using Ramsey's technique. So that's my answer, and thanks.
Our next question comes from our friend JC, who has practiced a lot of weapons styles like sticks and swords and things like that, and he has found that training with weapons has made him better at training without weapons, and he asks if I have had similar experiences.
Okay, and then my answer for that is first of all, you should totally make YouTube videos, because one of my biggest complaints about YouTube is there aren't enough YouTube videos with showing weapon fights. So that would be awesome, and so please make some YouTube videos, or hopefully you already have a channel and you can link to it, and then I can watch it, because that would be really cool. But this actually reminds me of when I was a kid. I loved the game of chess. I wasn't ever that great, because the computer could always beat me in chess. Well, except for a few times I beat the computer. But I loved the game, and I kept playing it, and then I found the game of Go, and then the Chinese game of Go, and I learned Go, and I studied Go for a long time, and I got to be pretty good at Go. Not great, but I could play it. And then what happened is this guy said, "Hey, I want to play you in chess, because I'm awesome at chess." And usually I've never been able to beat those guys. And so, but then I played chess against this guy, and with chess, it's super hard to think like 2 moves ahead, or like 2 or more moves ahead. But with Go, it's very easy to think 2, 3, 7, 15 moves ahead with how the stones are laid out. And so playing the game of Go helped me to think very far ahead, and then I actually walloped this guy in chess, which had I not played Go, I don't think I would have. I don't think I would have been able to beat him. So anyway, the point of that is that yes, if you study with knives, then yeah, of course you'll be a better fighter. That's actually Ramsey's videos, what Ramsey says in his videos is usually that you should train the thing that you're trying to do. But I'm here for a contrasting opinion. So yeah, absolutely, I think that everything should apply. And I had another point, but I kind of forgot it. The other point is that is a story from Ramsey's career. So there was this guy that was awesome at thought he was awesome at self-defense, and he showed up to the gym and said, "Hey, well, I'm teaching this knife technique," and so Ramsey was able to disarm him over and over again. And then I don't think Ramsey would have been able to do that had he not studied knives himself. So because of that, I think that pretty much everything that you learn about knives is very or knives or weapons or swords or all of that stuff is awesome. So anyway, that's my encouragement, is figure out how they integrate, and great job, and thank you.
Our next question comes from our friend, the Shadow Loaf Nose, who basically asked me why I decided to become an MMA fighter. He mentions that I've talked about in a lot of these videos how I started out in Taekwondo and then started learning other martial arts and eventually became a cage fighter. So he wants to know how that happened. Did I just watch a UFC fight and think, hey, I can do that, or was it something else? Now, I've actually addressed this very issue in a bunch of other videos, which I'd recommend checking them out, but let's have my brother's take on it.
Okay, so the first thing that comes to mind is when Ramsey was very little in the crib, he kept crawling out of his crib, and then my parents always said that Ramsey got into everything. So I think that's actually just been something that Ramsey has always done, is just got into everything. And then I remember when actually Ramsey got into martial arts way before Taekwondo. When he was little and trying to be tough, the way I don't know how most people do it, because I've never been tough like Ramsey, but the way Ramsey did it is he went to the library and he checked out and we had a really small library, so it didn't have like too many books, but he checked out all the books on martial arts and fighting and everything, and read through every single page. Oh, and then the other thing is Ramsey is one of the only people that has read the entire encyclopedia. Not Wikipedia, obviously, but like back when we were kids, we had print editions of the encyclopedia, and so I think it was just a kind of natural progression. Oh, and then the other thing is Ramsey's kind of fearless. I took a judo class and got thrown, which I think is what you're supposed to do. And but anyway, I didn't recover from that, and Ramsey's always bounced back from pretty much everything. So I think that's actually how a lot of your viewers is the same as you, just interested in a lot of different things. Getting into a lot of different things and bounce back from pretty much everything. So hopefully that's some interesting background, and thanks.
Our next question comes from the Vicar of Dibley, who says, Ramsey, I know this person who claims that grappling is useless. I bring up MMA as an example that grappling is effective. But they claim that MMA isn't real fighting, and I don't understand martial arts. This person attends karate classes and claims that kicking and elbows can defeat any grappler, no matter the situation or distance. How do I respond to this truthfully and in an unpatronizing way? I think my disagreements are often seen as patronizing by this person.
Okay, and I think that's a great question. For me personally, I'm not an athlete like Ramsey is, but I would definitely rather face off against a kicking. As someone that's probably going to lose, I'd definitely I'd definitely rather face off against a kicking karate person than a grappler like yourself, because I could probably just run away from the karate person, where with the grappler I wouldn't stand a chance because they pin me down, and yeah. It wouldn't go so well for me. So yeah, I think you have a good point about grappling, but that's not your question. Your question's how to not be patronizing. And this reminds me of when the internet was young, and I. I hate to say it now, but I used to troll a lot on. Maybe not a lot, but I remember I asked Ramsey, hey, well, tell me a detail about Spider-Man that most people don't know, and Ramsey told me that Spider-Man in the movies has blue eyes, but Spider-Man in the comic books has brown eyes. So I used that piece of information and posted on IMDb and a bunch of other posts about how it was technically inaccurate, just like arguing with people. And so I think that's actually what's happening, is she's just trolling you. I'd take that for what it's worth, and then there's another dynamic. This reminds me of my friend Josh. The thing that pisses me off about Josh is he's right all the time, and so like whenever I argue with him, then he's always right, like 99% of the time he's right. But then the other thing is he's like super confident. So I know that sometimes he's going to be wrong about stuff. And so I keep like looking for times when he's wrong. But like I said, he's pretty much right all the time. So anyway, that pisses me off. So that's probably what she's got going on too. Is she probably realizes that you're right, and she's probably just arguing, like I argue with Josh all the time, just hoping that I can be right sometimes. But probably for a full answer to that question, you'd have to ask Ramsey, because all I have is my experiences. So thanks very much, and great question.
All right, thanks for everybody who submitted questions for the first ever edition of Q&A with the coach's brother, and thanks to my brother Joseph for coming out here to Shanghai to answer your questions.
And thanks for inviting me out to Shanghai. Is it Shanghai or Shanghai?
Shanghai.
Okay, thanks for inviting me to Shanghai.
Gotta have the right tones, man, or they look at you weird.
To answer all the questions, and I'm not a martial artist, but I really like martial arts, and I really like your channel. So thanks for inviting me on, even though my answers definitely aren't as great as yours. But I had fun answering them.
Now, Joseph also has his own YouTube channel. What's your channel name?
What is it? I actually don't remember. Hopefully you'll put a link in somewhere.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the description down below. Go check it out. We did a podcast on the way to the airport on Thai linguistics. Joseph lives in Thailand. He's studying the Thai language and has a lot of interesting things to say from a linguistics point of view. For all of you who are interested in that, I'm sure that's all 42,000 of you out there watching. So go check it out. I'll put a link to that in the description as well.
Okay, and then I guess I should get out there and train. Or what? How do you say it?
Yes. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and train.